Hey everyone, it's Classic DM, and I was going to make a video series here for people who've been really interested in the character sheets I use in Advanced Dungeons and Dragons episodes. So one of the things I want to do is to kind of show you how I create the character portraits using Black Desert Online. And for those of you who aren't MMO gamers or aren't RPG players or online gamers, you may not have a computer that can run this kind of stuff, and if you don't, maybe you have a friend that can do this stuff for you. Black Desert Online is a massive multiplayer game. It's a Korean MMO. A lot of people refer to it as a Korean grinder. It's very melee-centric, individual characters. There's no trinity or anything. But it has probably some of the most beautiful characters and costuming of any MMO or any PC or console game ever made, in my personal opinion. That's really beautiful. There's a lot of elements to the game that people don't like, but we're not really going to selling the game here. What we want to do is show you what you can do to create characters that look fantastic for your D&D, for your portraits. So one of the first things I want to do is just give you a quick little glimpse of this is all real-time graphics done in their game engine, what the characters can actually look like. So they use a depth of field effect. This is a custom costume, as you can see on this character here. Let me just hide this UI element real quick so you can see some of the detail. So the character uses eye tracking. You can see the eyes are tracking. The eyes are moving in relation to the upper body. The hair is completely customized. The lighting is beautiful. So you can imagine it's like a screenshot generator. You can have your character almost in any scene possible doing anything. I have a number of different characters in this game I played for a long time. It has all kinds of different backdrops. You can change all kinds of video modes and different settings. There's all kinds of things you can do in the game to make it look really good. For example, let's just go to video options real quick here. One thing you could go to the display, see here, the camera effects. They have different settings. There's a Christmas event going right now, sort of standing in some grassy field. I like vibrance, so you can change that to different type of settings like sepia or old style or cyan. You can see, it's just like on your television. You can see it changes the color grading, the RGB, red, green, and blue balances of the different colors. So you have a lot of flexibility in this game that you don't have in any other PC game or MMO game. That's our raid boss. To change what it looks like. And when you aren't a digital artist and you don't have some ArtStation pictures that someone's done, you want to have a great character screenshot. That sounds fine and dandy. Let's show you how you can actually pull it off. And you should also see the thing, there's custom horse armor and things like that, just absolutely magnificent. This is all custom dyed. Like I dyed this whole thing with the color scheme that I wanted. Let's just give you a quick look. Because it's a Korean MMO, it's kind of free to play. The way they make money is they use a cash shop, right? And these things are typical in these kind of games. You don't need to buy anything. So the good thing about this system that I use for that I made, even though I play the game and I do buy costumes, is you don't need to buy anything to make a D&D cool character profile for you. So in their cash shop, when you first open it up, it'll have whatever character you're playing silly animations or whatever. You want to go down to the outfit section under apparel, and there, for whatever class you happen to be playing, it'll show a series of default classes you can start modifying. Now we're going to get into more detail that in a minute, but before we do anything, let's show you how you can actually start making the actual character itself, because there's two ways to do this. So before we do anything else, let's do this. Let's just pretend we don't have a character at all. All right, we're going to go to character selection, and I'll let you see some of the if you did this from scratch, how can you do it? Because I'm assuming you don't play Black Desert Online, because if you do, you would already know that if I told you to take screenshots in the cash shop, you'd know what to do, right? So the game is class-based. There's different characters. So I have like a wizard character. I don't know why the hat's showing. I have a Valkyrie. I have a fishing mule. I have a warrior. We could use our warrior later on. I have a Musa, which is like a ninja-oriented type of melee character. I have Mercedes, who's like a two-handed Dark Knight, Eliphanisi, who's a classic monk. It's a tamer class that has like an inky lion pet, and I have a little archer. None of them are really high level. They're all like level 56. Once you get past 56, the in-game gets really complicated, gets really slow. So if you were to have a copy of the game, I think it's $5 on Steam or something, or maybe even free to play, you can go to the trial tab, which you can see is up here in the right corner. I have a value pack, so my characters are all fully dyed and everything. So if you would make a trial character, what you do is you go to this, say create a new character, and you'd be created with this kind of basic screen with the character animating already. And what you were looking for here, if you're going to make a portrait for a character for your D&D character sheet, you want to pick a sex and a character class kind of based upon what you want your final character to look like. So let's say in Pathfinder Second Edition, you're playing a alchemist, right? So you may want to flip through these different, you're not going to find a goblin, right? You're going to find human, kind of Asian-y looking characters that you can make look Western, or if you want to play a two-handed warrior, right? So a warrior is a really good one to pick. If you want to make an elf character, the ranger character is great, and they're gender locked. So sometimes there's classes that can be two sexes, sometimes there's not. So you're kind of be limited on the guy side of things. Musa is a great one to pick for making a male character. The armor that you are able to equip the character in the shop is a lot of times thematically tied to that character. Like there's a lot of Asian style armor for the Musa, but the warrior has more traditional European type of knight crusader type armor, great for a general warrior or a fighter class. You'll even find little small Asian-y characters called the Shy that are really good for like a halfling or something. They're a little goofy, not my personal favorite. But you have all kinds of interesting classes in here. They're melee classes. The Valkyrie, which I showed you earlier, is like a tanking class, use a huge lance. So what you really need to do is go in here and just look around and find a character class that kind of reflects a look and feel that you think is cool. Like for example, if you want to play, a halfling female caster or an illusionist, right? You might want to pick the witch class. So for example, we just pick a guy here, right? Let's do this. Let's just pick a good old-fashioned warrior. Nothing too amazing. We're doing this on a trial account, doesn't matter. We're going to hit create, and all we're doing on this screen is just picking the class and the sex. And you can go in the game and try that yourself. Now, right off the bat, you'll notice that you can start customizing things. This little menu around the perimeter here allows you to pick a horoscope. It doesn't affect visuals. Weather will affect the backgrounds that you have. I suggest just leaving it on 1 because it's not lit in a funny way. Some of the lighting effects are really bizarre. They're not really useful for what you're going to use this for, because what you're going to use this to do is to create a screenshot. But you can start going in here and start building and changing a character around any way you want. Now, the trial editing thing isn't as robust, but it's a hell of a lot more robust you'll see in other games, right? So you'll find that you'll be able to do things like this, and then you can start changing the shape, and you can start making things longer and shorter. You can rotate it around, take a look at it, and see what it looks like. You can change the length and the curliness and even the color. So we'll just say, for example, let's do this. So with this warrior character, let's pick something that's more Renaissance era kind of looking hair or something, right? Something more like this. Okay, and let's see here. And you want to get out of this menu, just pop back to here, and you can go back to face. And you can say, listen, I don't want to erase the hair. Let's erase the hair, and then let's go back to the actual hair design itself. So say you picked this, and it's going to have some default color. So you're like, okay, well, let's give this let's make his kind of a dark brown. Actually, let's just do kind of a black color. So there's going to be 3 tabs here for hair ends. You can see these little ends have different color. You can actually change the color and see this is being changed to another color, like green or whatever. You can make that maybe whiter or black, whatever you want. The artistic aspect I'll leave to you. The hair is like the core color of the hair itself, so whether it's a brown or red or whatever. So you can pick the hair color. So say you fool around with the hair color and you get something that you like. The shape of it, you can adjust the length of certain sections. In the more advanced version, you can actually grab elements of the hair and pull it down. And it has control of how much curliness there is and stuff like that. So say once you pick the hair and the colors, then you can change the style, and it'll remember the you'll remember the look of the hair. And as you start playing around with different hairstyles, you'll start getting ideas for what you want the character's hairstyle to look like. So let's go do this real quick. Let's get a little closer. Let's put this more on normal height like this. So say we like this one, put some bangs on the guy. That's kind of silly looking. That's kind of normal Joe, right? So let's take normal Joe, make him a little tougher looking. Let's keep the color with this. Let's see if we can get a brown color. That's red. Let's get a little brown, a reddish brown, 2 brown. How about down here is a brown? There's a deep brown for the main hair color. You can even have that blonde streaks in it. The hair ends you can make very white tip or black tips. So as you can see, the hair, let's just look at it from the back here. You can really do a lot with this hair, and you can just take the shape of it and change the length. Anything that's highlighted like this, so you can adjust the length of the hair. See how it is over the top and the bottom. You can even adjust how curly it is. Some of the curly things are a little weird. They won't really make much of a difference. Like this is the curl level. See how wavy that becomes? So you can it controls the strength of the curl, like how curly it is. If this is set all the way down to 0, you're gonna be okay. You're gonna have straight normal hair that hangs down. You can put like a really subtle setting. Just have a little bit of tousled look if you want to. So you can, as you can obviously think, you can spend weeks doing this. So that's just the basic hair. You've got the hair and the hair color set, so you have this basic dude haircut, right? Then you want to go to the face. So under the face section, there are existing face types. You can load predefined faces, hairs, colors that the community has made. Excuse me. So you don't need, you can go in and do all this experimentation yourself, and it's all going to be tied to this particular class. But if you don't like it and you're not good at coming up with a neat design, even if you try going through all these types of things, these are changing the face shape, right? So you can look through really quickly and see what kind of predefined, not out of proportion, funny facial designs of different, and there it's including all the settings for the eyelashes, the underset of the eye, the color of the eye, the lip subsurface scattering, everything that's in here has all been predefined for you. You can edit all this in detail. Sorry about bumping that. So let's just say that we, for now, let's just say just stick with this one, okay? Tough looking dude, big jaw. Then you can actually start doing things. You can raise the hair a little bit if it's in the way. Just leave it down. You can go to the skin and start modifying the skin, the shininess of the skin. See, there's a little bit of glimmer of shine on his nose. You can start saying, okay, what's the skin tone going to be like? Do you want this to be a drow? Do you want this to be some guy that's like some kind of strange race, really sunburned? Do you want it to be pale, brown, whatever? Once you start changing them, it won't let you go back. So if you just experiment and dork around with this till you find something that you think looks kind of like you think you want it to be in the game. And you may want to adjust how shiny it is, like on being wet. You can slide this down to because there's no shininess at all. So let's just say this normal kind of hair skin color is what we want. So you pick the skin. Then the facial hair is a lot of cool customization for a default facial hair color. This is all these colors down here. Let's make this a black so it controls the stubble level. You have a density bar. You can see how much more stubble there is. Make it look like a 5-day shadow. Really beautifully done. The shine in the area means how much of the area of the face is going to be covered with that. So how much it's going to have that. You can reduce that down. Then you can go to actually, you can even pick a default predefined ones like this to kind of have like a little cut and design, a little Chris Cornell type action going on. You can then start picking beards. You find the color by default is some funky color that matches the original default character. You can change that to whatever color you want and say, okay, I want to have this cool crazy goatee. I want to have that little reddish brown look I had before. You can change the length. You can make it shorter. So as you can see right away, the amount of customization you can do in this, most of you, if you've played the game, you know this already. This is boring to you. If you've never played this game before, you'll find that there's a lot of things you can do to make this thing really cool. For example, remember me talking about the curl strength on this beard? Let's make it white so you can see it better. You can reduce that down so it's more like a straight beard. It doesn't have any curliness at all. Then you can go down here and get this red color. And you can actually make it longer and thicker. And then there's a mustache. You can say, okay, which cool mustache do you want? Remember, the color is going to default back to where the default color is. We're using this reddish brown color. You can look at these links here and say, how curly is it? Is it straight? How much strength of the curl is? Is it really long mustache? Is it short? Say we go for this kind of look so it kind of connects to the goatee. So that's starting to look kind of tough like that. You may want it to look like this. Whatever you like, whatever. It's just personal preference. The problem is once you start doing this, you'll just get lost forever. Don't have a situation where you're like, oh my goodness, this is really weird looking. Be sure to look at these settings over here for the length and the curl strength. You may find that some of them look better with curl and some of them don't. Like this one here looks really weird and wavy. You can turn it off. So let's just go with something like more. Where's the one that connects? This is pretty decent. That connects pretty good. Let's turn that curl strength off. You can even make it a lighter color if you want it to be a lighter color. You can go back to the beard, lighten it up some. Default facial hair, we can lighten that up so it's a little bit more red. Then you need to deal with the mustache. You have sideburns, so you can start saying, okay, what can we do for sideburn designs? Let's pick the color that kind of matches the color we were messing with earlier. So you have these crazy sideburns like this, or you can pick a default one like that and like this. So you can see the different types of sideburns. Remember, pay attention to the curliness level, and you may want to change the color so you can see what's this curly effect doing. Like picking a light color like blonde or yellow or something. Let's just go with white. You can pick how long it is, so that works really, really well if you want to have a sideburn look going on with the character. You may not want to have any of that at all. You may just want to have kind of a default typical cyber thing like that. So that, as you can see right away, the facial stuff is fantastic. Get the color. Every time you switch, remember you're going to have this crazy color length that's going on. You want to reduce this length of these eyebrows. See, this is when you have it by default. The default one's like, wow, that's really weird looking. You can make it longer, you can make it shorter, or you can make a character look like a dwarf, all kinds of stuff. So let's say we pick this one here, but we don't like all this fluffy, crazy mad scientist bits on there. We can reduce the length of those eyebrows down a little bit. And we aren't even modifying the face geometry at this point. We're just doing stuff to make it seem more what's interesting to us, right? So we got the default brow, eyebrow. There's a default eyebrow. Let's make this a little longer. And you can just go on and on and on. So let's say that's the one we want, right? See about like that. Okay, cool. So then you can go down. There's a makeup section. Really applies to females and anything else. I'm not going to touch this because I don't want to try to reverse back out of it. You can control lip colors, but for a male character, I'm not really interested in making the lips do anything. But if you wanted to make some character with crazy lip color, as you can see, these wacky, Maybelline style colors here. For female characters, they have all this eyeshadow and eyeliner and things like that you can do. I have a character that has crazy eye makeup. I'm going to make it like a cultist. That works really well. The eye part's really fun. You get to pick the pupil, the iris, and the lens. So if you look really closely here, you can see you can control this. So in this situation here, the iris is probably picked one of these. Let's just pick one of these other ones. See, we change the iris to something else. So you can start changing the iris, and you go to the pupil. This is the actual dot. And you can change it to some of like a cat pupil. Do you see that? So if you want to make it more normal, you can do it like this, and you can change the opacity level, like how black it is. See how it's feeling fade, less opaque, and then it becomes more opaque and dark. It even has the shine in it. So the flexibility on that, you can also change the color if you want to. Most characters you're going to make, you're not going to have a lot of wackiness with this. You're just going to start thinking about what kind of eye color do I want. And remember, the lens and the eye color are two separate objects. So leaving the lens black gives you a nice black outline around the edge of the eye, and you can make that less opaque so it's not as strong. See how strong this, look around here on the edge of the eye. This is really strong and opaque. This is really subtle. It looks like there's no pupil at all. So you start ramping that up to it feels just about right. And it's also a good idea to kind of go back a little bit and take a look and see how that looks too. The iris is where you're going to get the color of the main. When someone says your eye color is blue, you have blue, striking blue eyes or something, it's going to be this, right? And as you do that, you're going to find things like, what would it look like with a different pupil, like with a pupil with a little nick in it, or some kind of strange star pupil, or a star or whatever. I just like to use a default thing. I don't like it. I'm too conservative. So you can then start changing the eye color, thinking about like the color of the character's eyes in relation to their hair composition. You'll see things, it doesn't look as opaque as I want it, and you go back and forth. Say you want to make his eyes kind of a reddish brown look. Let's find something that's not too wild. How about that? That's very conservative, a little dark and murky. Purple, too unnatural. Brown's pretty good. Reddish brown's kind of odd. That looks really weird. Let's just go down to this little really striking color here. And we're going to make the opacity less. In fact, let's just go to something that's much more subtle. You can make the area of the eye change that as well. Let's just pick this brown one again. All right. So they have a right eye and left eye. So if you wanted to, you could make one eye a really strange color, like make one eye a different color than the other one. I wouldn't recommend doing that, but you do whatever you want to do. There are, of course, eye lines, which are lines you can pick. Predefined lines over the top of the eye. You can choose a color for that to see if you want something different. There's also a bottom line. There's a density on the bottom line, especially for the female characters. That makes a big difference. You have a number of tattoos you can pick that'll be all over the whole body, and I'll show you how that shows up later. There's even a wrinkle. Like you can set the slider and start making the brow more wrinkly. Okay. And around the eyes, you can make that more wrinkly there. So there's very subtle differences there. Standby expression is just picking a facial expression. I just leave it like it is. So let's say that's what we kind of liked so far. This guy looks kind of rough around the edges. So let's go back to here and let's get this wrinkles back down. We don't want him to look too ragged out. He's experienced but not dead yet. Then you could go to the body. When you go to the body, you'll be able to manipulate things like grab this thigh muscle, make him a little shorter, a little taller. That just affects what your personal preference. Arms a little longer, hands bigger, all the way down to fingers and pecs and everything. You make the hand larger. A scale that makes things larger. The right click allows you to spin and rotate the character around, so you can stretch the length, make it larger or bigger. You can do anything you want to do with that. The muscles, you can change the musculature of the character by the definition, make him extremely muscular, almost like he has on steroids. So you see these muscle definitions up here. So you can drop that down and make it very subtle and softer. You can do it by different sections of the body. You know, have veins pop out of the arms. You can make things look like an MMA fighter or something on steroids. So whatever you want to do with that, it's up to you. Most of the time, you know, you could have body tattoos if you wanted to as well. You can edit the individual pose, but I don't recommend doing that because you'll mess it up real quick. Another thing you can do is go down here to the clothes, and this is earlier we saw this is what it looks like by default. When you're making a trial character and just trying to create the character's face, you have these like this P means a premium outfit. This gives you an idea what the premium outfits might look like. This is really cool because once you've created the main head and the size of the character, you'll be able to go into the cast shop and then see what the character would look like with all these different outfits on and pose them some. So in the game, normally when you're playing, you're running around with like chumpy junk like this. Most of the gear in the game this is like what the gear in the game looks like when it drops. This like ragged out kind of villager look, you know, and a little bit of metal armor, but nothing too amazing. The real beautiful stuff is the stuff that's all the high-end stuff. Even the fabric. I mean, look at the fabric pattern on this armor here. It's just brilliantly done. Absolutely beautiful. And you can even view it with the helmet on to see what it would look like with a helmet. Now, the goal of doing the character creation thing is for you to get a sense of what you think the core character should look like, which is mostly just the face, right? So say we like that. Let's give it some kind of character name that will probably be accepted. We'll call him Pelangrio. Or whatever that is, right? It's unlikely that you want to have that. So we'll say creation complete. Okay, this is the game world is him. This is a test character. You're not really going to play the game. What you're going to do is you're going to use this as a way for you to load up the cash shop and see what kind of armors will look a certain way for the character with the face you made. That's what I did when I made the character profiles for the advanced for the 7. That's what I call the little group of 7 adventurers that run the Glacial Rift, Frost Giant Jarl, and the Hill of the Steadying of the Hill Giant Chief. So wait for the game to load. This little bar across the bottom here is a little dude running away from a black spirit. That's a little loading screen. If all the game music turned off so it wouldn't be too obnoxious. I know some people listen to this stuff on their mobile phone. They don't like a lot of clacking sounds in the background. Now, the game's going to probably load up in some starter newbie area with starter newbie controls and all that kind of stuff. You probably don't want to mess around with that too much. I'm just going to run this. This is our dude, just see that we made earlier, right? See what he looks like. This is what he looks like in the game. So he looks like he's having a bad day. So I'm just going to take him over here. Now this game, unlike any other MMO, allows you to jump and climb on stuff. So you can jump and almost fall off edges and stuff. Let's just jump down here. We jump over this wall. Or not. Here we go. Oh, that's right. This is the test. I'm making a test character. This is a battle arena. Okay. So we're just going to stick him up here then. Let's go back up here. All right. All right. So now the reason we did all this is so we can go to the Pearl shop, which is up here in this area here. So this just pulls up that default character. You want to go down to apparel. Now, if you want to look around here, go do what you want to do. There's all kinds of things on sale. You'll see there's all kinds of crazy stuff. There's tents. There'll be 3-dimensional models of what the items look like. Players can have homes and houses. I don't want to make this a huge Black Desert Online video. They have pets. They have all kinds of stuff. There's stuff that's on sale all the time. You pay money for pearls and then use the pearls to buy stuff in game. There's loyalties. There's all kinds of stuff. Let's not get into detail with that. Let's go back to this. So you notice it says Warrior, which is the class that we picked earlier. You can pick one of these outfits and say, okay, here's our dude with a set you could buy. It's like that's $29 outfit right there. Now down here in the lower right hand corner and the upper right hand corner, some interesting settings. One is called View Adventurer. If you click that, that means his head is going to track where your camera position is. If you turn that off, he's just going to look wherever he wants to look. And so what I suggest you do if you take a screenshot of your character is you put down a View Adventure, and then upper right here is UI on and off, right? This allows you to see the outfit and hold the left mouse button to pan it around. Roll the mouse wheel in and out to get a different distance, how far you want it to be. And using the left mouse button and the pan, you can actually get really close so you can see the detail of the outfit or whatever you think is really nice about it, right? Now, you can do things like hide the armor and the helmets. Let's just do this. Let's take the helmet off. So there's our dude with his hair. We could have the helmet on, and you could open the visor and close the visor if visor opens and closes. Sometimes they have visors that open and close. There may be a cloak you can turn off. In this outfit there is. So there's either the cloak can be on like this, which I think is really fantastic with these evil raven feathers on it. You can also have there's in the game there's two sets of weapons. There's like weapons you start off with, and at around level 55 you get what's called an awakening weapon. They've recently added another specialty weapon. It opens up new abilities that you can do, so you can show the awakening weapon or the default weapon. So with this outfit actually also comes with this cool metal spark particles, just absolutely brilliantly done if you ask me. I mean, just look at this, just absolutely magnificent. You almost wish your character sheet could be animated. This is so much motion stuff going on. And let's make him view us. Just looking away. That's him kind of looking at us. So put him with a two-handed weapon. That weapon doesn't look as cool. All right, so you can go out of that menu by going UI on and off. That'll turn you back to the store. It'll go back to the default, hot and new picks. Go back to apparel and go to outfit. The costume thing is like a bunch of fishing outfits that you wear as jokey outfits. They're very goofy and jokey and like crafting outfits and all this kind of stuff. So stay away from that. Go straight to outfits. And you can just start going through these things saying, wow, what do these things look like? Well, that looks really cool. What happens does that look like if I take the helmet off or leave the helmet on? Does it have a visor that closes? So this has this crazy Skeletor, Terminator. Look at the eyes on that. It's just nutty. So obviously you can go as crazy as you want. And of course you can change the lighting in the background to whatever you want it to be as well. I suggest just sticking with one. One works really, really well. You can change the cape settings and all these things I mentioned before, right? So what you want to do then is just start going through these things. The menu's a little wonky. When you click on one of these things, it's going to bring up the costume on the right. And you can use the mouse wheel to scroll them out so you can see them better. Let's turn the awakening weapon off. And then you need to click on the picture to see the next one. Now, you're not accidentally going to buy anything, like this Leonidas one, something right out of. Let's just put the awakening weapon on for him. So I got him in a combat stance, take him out of a combat stance. So here he is with this crazy lion helmet with these particles, these red eyes. See the particles moving around? Really cool looking, right? You can take this helmet and you can either completely hide the helmet or you can like open the visor so you can see his face in there as your character. That's why I wanted you to create a character first, because when you're D&D or Pathfinder where you're playing, you want the character to look really cool. So you want the profile to look cool. So now that you've got this trial character, you have this interface where you can just find some, almost like the Monty Python King. You just hide the helmet, find some cool outfit for that class. It just really captures your interest. You're like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. I really want this to, let's put him with the two-handed weapon on his back. So now you can kind of just virtually just shop until you find some amazing. Be sure to always check the hoods because some of them have really cool hoods on them and cool cloaks. You'll be able to pose this character and take screenshots all over the place. Like here's one that's really brilliantly done. Really fantastic. Right? That's what it looks like. That's just absolutely epic, right? So now you go through all that and you have all this fun picking this stuff and you're dressing this character up with all these different outfits or whatever, stuff like this, whatever you think is cool. And let's just say we, let's go to this. Let's go to outfit. Let's find something really nasty, really mean looking. That's kind of nutty. Now we won't be able to dye it because you don't actually own it, but you will be able to take a screenshot of them ahead of time without actually owning this outfit. That's very classic and traditional. And this is kind of like an outlaw leather gunslinger look. That could work for Pathfinder. Kind of a typical chainmail thing. Let's see what that looks like with a helmet. Nope. There we go. Acre Guard is a crazy one from a long time ago. He's very slim. He should be made bigger. This is a cool one. This is really neat. Got lots of leather and just absolutely magnificent. This is more like a gladiator look. And just because you made a character doesn't mean you're limited to this. So you could also see, well, what other classes could I do? Let's see what the ranger looks like. Now, the moment you do this, you're going to switch to a default ranger face, right? So you're going to start seeing the default blonde girl, ranger girl. And you'll be able to look through all those outfits as well until you find something like, oh, wow, this is amazing. You want this to be what your character looks like. You want her to have this outfit. Then you can go back and make a character and change the face and then reload the game with this outfit on. So these Asian games are so female oriented, so all the characters are scantily clad all the time. It depends if you're into that or not, but there's a lot of really neat armor sets in here that are really cool. But the only problem is now that you switch to another class, you're just going to get the default face. You're not going to get the this is you'll see some of them have the same armor. This is the Valoran one. The female version has like no legs on it or anything like that. You're not going to see the This one's really brilliant. This one's great with a headpiece on. Let's do this. This is this like snow fox stuff. This would be great for a druid. I use this picture for the failed turn of the druid in the in my campaign. So once you see this outfit that you really, really like, I mean, this piratey outfit's kind of crazy, you can start going through all the different classes and see what kind of outfits they have. Some are just nutty. They're just completely crazy. A little over the top on some of those physics there, but whatever. Like, this is just ridiculous. But some of them will be, you'll find some of them are very tasteful and very nice and very well done, and aren't this like ridiculous kind of thing. Like, this is a little ridiculous, but you may want that. You may want your character to look that way. It depends what you want to do. Like, this is really crazy with this huge snow feather scythe. This is a sorcerer class, very nasty. So let's just go through some of them real quick. Give you a view. See, the Lan is like a dual wielding and crouching tiger, hidden dragon, Asian sword character. So all her outfits are usually very Asian, Chinese looking sword slinger kind of look. So you may want a dual wielder type character to look like that. If you want the face to be different, you could go make your own face and then load this, and you wouldn't look as Asian, but the outfit will still look Asian. There are situations where they made one outfit that they shared across, like the Valoran outfit you saw earlier. They shared that with all the characters. So this is really, like I said, this is just the default character. And you also notice that when you pick the different classes, they're all posing, and their posture, and the weapons, their class determines what weapons are using. Like, this is the Shadow Chaser one. So if you had a rogue, you could, you wanted to have the hair like that or whatever, you could do the helmet on it, the cloak on it. So let's give you an idea of some of the other ones real quick. The Berserker is a huge giant type class. Huge, goofy, crazy. There's some really neat, nutty armors in there for them. Some of them are just over the top. Some of them are shared with some of the other classes. A lot of heavy plate. So if you want a really big, tall, powerful warrior like Varenjar, I used for this character. I made a character that I used for Varenjar for this guy. And then as you saw earlier, this was this Shadow Chaser armor with the cloak. You can turn the cloak off, I believe. No, not on this one. Yeah, there's the helmet. Turn the awakening weapon off, put them in a fighting stance or whatever. Some of the sorry about the UI clicking. Every time you mouse over something, it makes this little clicking sound. So you can see these different outfits are just brilliant. All right, so you can go through all these. Some of my favorites are they're all really good. They're all amazing. Even the wizard stuff is really, really, really fantastic. I mean, one of the ones I have on my character, some of the ones are just like absolutely perfect. They're just absolutely crazy looking for someone playing a caster class. There you go. But remember, it's playing this using this default character face. All right, so let's just say you're playing a caster, right? And you love. Let's find a cool caster outfit. This one's nice. I have this one on one of my characters. Let's say this is the one you want. You decided that this is it. You want this one. You're like, okay, I want my character. I want this as my screenshot. So you hide the UI. So now it's just a picture of the character on the screen. You make sure the eyes are tracking. It's not looking off into La La Land. And then you can then pose the character how you want to do it, right? And you can put them in a fighting stance. Or show them with the awakening weapon, which is these two fire and water orbs. You can use the mouse, hold the left mouse button to pan left and right. You can turn the head, and eventually he'll turn his head away from you, like he's looking at your eye, looking at your mouse position or camera position. He'll look away. So in some situations, you may find that he will look at you over the weapon, like this. So you can get some kind of shot like this. You may want your character portrait to look like this, right? So let's go back to the character that we made and take a screenshot, and I'll show you how to do that. So we just go close the shop, which goes back to our guy that we made earlier. It looks like somebody I used to work with. And then we hit escape, then go back to the Pearl shop. And we go back here to Peril. And this is the warrior. So we're going to stick with the warrior and say we want this, say we want our character to have this like two-handed sword look. Say we love this. Say this is the bomb. This is what we want. Say this is what we want to see. We want to see this. That's what we want. You want your guy to look like that. Let's get the face in there. Arthur, King of the Britons, right? So let's go to hide UI. So then what you're going to do is like, okay, we're going to pose this guy. Do you want him just standing there normally? Like this? I'm manipulating all these controls down here. The Dura thing is like a durability. It's like if it's damaged, you don't leave that alone. It'll change shaders to make it look damaged. Probably don't want to do that. If you want to change the background, you can click on the select weather thing and try some of the other weather effects, but some of them are really bizarre. I suggest you stick with one because that way you can make the screenshots match whatever you want it to be. I also suggest that when you take a screenshot of your character that you have the camera a little bit lower than their eye line so it looks like they're looking down at you. So it looks, if you, for example, let's do it like this. If I have a character and he's looking up at you like this, it doesn't look as realistic. If you have the character looking kind of down like this, looks like your high eye level is about his neck, so you can start changing that to where it looks really cool. You have a nice close up like this. Then what you can do is hit print screen. All right, so when you do a print screen, obviously you've saved something to your clipboard, and you can use a graphics program like I use Paint Shop Pro, and you go edit and paste. Let's just do this. Let me show you where these things end up being saved to. Let's just go here. If you go to your PC and go to My Documents, this is going to go into a black Desert Online folder, and inside that's a screenshot folder, and you can see this is a screenshot that's been captured. That's this one right here. Now, back in the game, you might want to consider taking a screenshot what fidelity you want those graphics to be. So when you go to the game window, you go down here to screenshot. You can say I picked 4K resolution and PNG. Now, if you want to have kind of just a basic JPEG, really small file size, pretty decent resolution, you can just leave current resolution and then put it on JPEG. It'll give you a smaller picture. Let's just do a comparison real quick so you can see the difference of the file size. So we're going to pick another outfit so you can compare the two. Go to apparel. Let's just pick this. Let's pick one of the ones down here. This one's really awesome. Yeah, that one's really cool. And we can go here. And here he is in the same pose. We'll give him a different pose like this. We'll hide the helmet. And we're going to give this guy, he's going to look more like, he's going to have him look more of your shoulder like that. Now, this looks like crap. I'm going to change that. This is the problem with it. You'll fiddle with it forever. You'll never find the perfect layout. Let's go to Goyen. We did Goyen earlier. This is a good one. This one's beautiful. All right. So this shoulder looks fantastic. Looking over the, let's say we want our character portrait to look like this. Have him looking right over that, right over here. There we go. You see a little bit of face. All right. And just go. Okay, so that was in a different setting, remember? So I changed this setting. Doesn't look as cool now, does he? I changed the setting to be a different screenshot, display screenshot. It's a JPEG current resolution. Let's do the comparison like I was talking about. So you go back to the folder that you're at before, which is the My Documents folder, which is this one. And you can see we got two screenshots. I'm going to pull them both into Paint Shop Pro, just a 32-bit version, so you can see. So now what you can do in this folder, you can go to View and go to Details, and you can see the different file sizes. You can see the PNG file we took is 11 megs, and there's the one I did earlier that's 8 megs. What you may want to do is just leave those large icons so you can tell the difference between the two. You can also right-click on any picture you have and go to Properties and say, hey, this is a JPEG file. It's only 276K. It's the size of someone's signature in an email. You can right-click on the other one we took earlier and go to Properties and say, hey, listen, this is 10.9 megs. So you all know if you post stuff to Facebook that they become different sizes. Let's take the big one and drag this over here into our paint program. I use Paint Shop Pro. It's just a really old school, very simple graphic editing program. Costs like hardly nothing. I don't suggest using Paint. If you want to use Photoshop, fine. Photoshop costs a bunch of money. I use Photoshop at work. Don't use it at home. All right, so here's our two pictures. I'm going to make this big so you can see. So here's our screenshots. This one is a lower resolution one. This is a higher resolution one. Now, what does that mean? So as I start to zoom in closer, I'm inside Paint Shop Pro. This is an old version from like 2016 or something, right? You can see this banding, see this graphical banding that's happening around the edge here, and start to look closer. You start to look at our characters just pixelated. So it's not as pixelated, but it depends what your use case is, right? How big is this picture going to be? So as you talked about earlier, when we ran this Greyhawk campaign and we made these PowerPoints, so I'm going to show you another video how I do those. I make these character portraits. Our final character portraits are about this big, right? This is at 81%. So on screen, when you're watching my videos and stuff, you're seeing a picture about this big. This was just done with a JPEG. But if I really want a really high resolution picture of the character, And I notice I use the gray background so I can copy and paste it in the PowerPoint. I'll show you how to make these character sheets later. I'll give you a free copy, but hers is a little pixelated. So if you really want something really high detail, high resolution, you want to use a PNG. But if you don't have something this is a little pixelated, if you're not going to ever see anything bigger than 8.5 by 11, or you're just looking on your phone or on a little iPad or whatever, that smaller resolution is going to work fine. So in this case, this is the low resolution picture. This is the high resolution picture, the PNG one that's 8K. So it takes a lot longer. Even see when you move in your computer, see this blurring happening. Look how much it takes. You have to get this close, 4 times as close, to start losing that resolution. You can see some artifacting right here. So if you want your character profile picture to be really close, this gives you flexibility. So with this picture here, I say, okay, I'm going to make my character portrait. I'm going to pick this marquee tool, which allows me to left click and hold and drag and create a little portrait picture, right? Control C to copy, edit, paste as a new image. Now I'm running OBS and the game is in the background. You hear the crickets. Just take a second. I say paste as a new image. So here's our new image. Then I'll usually just go to layers and merge that and flatten that down. Now if you want to modify it, you can still see it's a little pixelated. But if we're not ever going to see it that big, if we're going to see it about 60% size, that's fine. So as we were saying, you can adjust the brightness and contrast of the pictures once you've got them pasted. So we have the higher resolution one that's a PNG that we took earlier, and we also have this lower resolution one that's a JPEG. This is like 267K. This is like 10 megs, and as I mentioned earlier, really the quality bar and the pixelation on the smaller one on the JPEG, degrades quicker, and as a summary, the one that's a PNG will stay high resolution as you get closer. It's about a 4:1 ratio. Now, we also mentioned that you can control the picture. I don't want to go into a massive, graphics digital artist lesson, but just very quickly, as we were saying a few minutes ago, is you can adjust the under hue and saturation and vibrancy. You can control the vibrancy, which makes the colors more leap off the page. If the vibrancy is really low, things start to get kind of like grayed out like this. Now if I'm lowering it down, and as you move up into higher numbers, it gets high, and if you move it too far, things get really blown out of proportion, kind of like your phone photos gone wrong, right? So you can do that, and of course you can adjust the brightness and contrast, just like when you're using your TV or your monitor or anything. If the contrast is too low, things have like a white glazing over them like this. If the contrast is just barely high, things start to get black. If you do it too much, contrast makes things look really weird and overexposed. I don't suggest doing either one of those too high. Keep your contrast like between 8 and 10. Keep your vibrancy between 8 and 10. The colors will leap off the page and they'll look better than they did originally. So the next thing I want to do is let's take a look at how we actually really created the portraits for some of the characters in the video series. So if you've seen any of the videos like the Greyhawk campaign or the Setting Hill Giant Chief or Glacial Rift of Frostshine Jarl or any of the Pathfinder 2 things, you see I use a lot of these like PDFs as a background thing. They're really clean, really nice. I make them in PowerPoint. There's going to be another video that's going to show you how we actually make these types of things as well. You're going to have to bear with the horse blustering sound in the background. But what I want to do, in the other video, I'm going to show you how to build these kinds of things for yourself, especially including these, which are character sheets. This is Advanced Dungeons & Dragons character sheets I made for the video because they read really well and they print really beautifully. And they're just custom made. They only have the information on it that I care about as a DM and a player. They don't have every single thing made for every single class. And some things have been modified over time, and we're going to talk about that first. But what we're going to do is show you what we did. Now, this is a PDF, right? So you click on the PDF. There's little sections of it you can manipulate, but you can't do anything with a PDF, a portable document format, right? These things are built in this PowerPoint. So there's going to be a separate video to show you how I build and make all these little individual elements. It's almost like desktop publishing to make these things look good. But what you need to look at, we're going to do a case study with Elephant EC here, right? So this right here is a picture. Okay, this is a picture taken from Black Desert Online. You can see that's not a super high resolution picture, and when it's a PowerPoint element with a little bit of a drop shadow here, we can rescale that to fit. So if you rescale it really large, she doesn't look as good a resolution. So in this situation, she's basically placed as a layer picture behind this little white box frame with no fill in it, and then I have the other translucent elements like her move rate, hit points, and armor class, and to hit AC 0, which I love using even though it's a second edition thing. So let's show you how we did that, okay? So going back into Black Desert Online to get the paint shop program closed, all that kind of business, we here we are in the game with her today, right? So we have a Christmas event going on in the game. It's really cool, really beautiful. If you want a chance to play the game, you should try it out if you got a great machine. But here's what we did. This is well over a year ago. I think Elefanisi was like level 51 at that time. The monk character for Advanced Dungeons & Dragons is one of my favorite classes. And for her, the tamer, right, which is a class that has this little pet here, this inky pet, is a class very similar to the monk. And the reason why I think it's similar is because it has this very kind of Asian kung fu unarmed combat kind of a look to it, right? So what I decided to do in the very beginning is I'd played a tamer and I thought it was pretty fun, but I wasn't all that like madly in love with the outfits. But then when I started making Elefanisi, I was like, I really should see what I got in there for a really powerful monk, because I want Elefanisi to be like this, almost like a little kid, a master monk that's a little kid. So let's just get rid of her pet. And let's show you what we did. So we made the character. So this character here, this is what she looks like, right? So she looks like a little kid, and she doesn't look like a little Asian character, because remember the default characters have this kind of Asian look to it. So let's get on the horse and go over here by the, move somewhere else away from all these people galloping past us. So we're just going to go over here real quick. We could go out to this empty field somewhere, right? There's a little farm over here. We'll just go over to this farm. Oops. Boom. You gotta love it. Alright, let's jump back on there. Trying to wing out too much. Alright, let's get up here real quick. Alright. Great, here she is. Alright, so what do we do? Too much background noise here? No, it's pretty quiet here. A little bit of rustling beetles. They're pretty annoying. We don't want that happening in the background. Let's just move further away. I don't want you to have to, if you're listening to this on mobile phone, I want you to have to listen to a bunch of annoying background sounds. How about down here, someone's road? There'll be nothing down here on the road. There's some crickets. Okay. All right, so go to the store, create the character, made what the character looked like, went to the apparel section, and then went through different outfits. So with her, I did the same kind of thing. There was a particular outfit that I thought was really, really great for the monk, which was this one. This Jergen, or however you pronounce it, Jagrina, has this basic white. That's the one she's wearing right now, but the one she's wearing right now doesn't have, I've redyed it, so it looked like this. So pose the character, make sure the character looked cool, make sure it looked neat, modify whether she had the awakening weapon or the staff, whatever she had in her hand, turn on the eye tracking so she's looking at you, and then posed her around where we wanted to be, took the screenshot, came out of that. This is what she, right now she's wearing this whole thing. I've completely redyed it. It's the same exact outfit, right? Came out of that, brought that into Paint Shop Pro. Here's the picture. Use the marquee tool. This is the actual screenshot here. This is a little bit, and I just grab the screenshot and I try to make it a portrait size. Let's just make it with this size, because I knew ahead of time when I was making my character sheets that I was going to need something that was going to kind of fit this block here. So we have this picture here. This is actually inside the block. We're going to take this picture here and we're going to save this as, we'll just call this test 5. Test 3 will work. And we didn't collapse it. Let's just do this real quick. Let's just merge this layer. It didn't do any adjustments or anything. Alright. Alright. So then we could insert an image picture. We're going to have to point to where it's saved. So in this situation, we've got these things in the My Documents directory, which is going to be inside of Black Desert Online. We're just using the screenshot directory for this purpose of this video. Here's the big picture of the original one, and here's the source image. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select a couple of these that we've worked with, right? I'm just going to throw all 3 of these into the frame at once. So all 3 of these now, different sizes, are inside of PowerPoint. We can resize them however we want to. When they're all selected, when they're first brought in, we can resize them together like this. So it's not changing the resolution. It's not changing the resolution, but it's changing. So when we first made her picture, we had her kind of standing on the side looking this way. So if we were to take this and dock that up into the corner, we could start rescaling this by dragging the corner to get it to kind of fit just about like that. and we can send that to the back and start dealing with the different layers. So then she's put in the back. Now you can see if you look at it really carefully, this isn't perfect because she's overextending over this boundary. So what you'd want to do is go back and trim it again. You'd go into here and say, okay, listen, I trimmed this pretty good. I kind of want to trim a little bit more off of one side. So I'm going to come here and trim this off a little bit closer to this because I want to cut off the staff. Just go to Control C, paste as new image, merge, flatten, layers. You get fast at this. Save as, test 3, test 4, because you don't want to stretch the image. Right? Go back into PowerPoint, insert picture. It's going to remember the folder that you're already looking at. Let's actually change that view to large icons. Test 4, and we can see how that fits. This is the test 4. This is test 3. We'll get rid of that. Select it and delete it. Anchor this upper left corner here, right inside, and there's lots of great guidelines in PowerPoint to show you how to do this stuff. And we're going to drag from this corner here actually for a second to get it lined up. We're just doing this manually real quick if you get the idea. And it'll pull this in about like that. There we go. So that's not too bad. It's not perfect. We're going to send that to back real quick, which is the positioning of where it is in relation to the other parts of the frame. It's not absolutely perfect. If you really wanted to, you could grab this edge here and just drag it over just like that. No one's really going to. There you go, new picture. So then you can obviously take that file and save it as a PDF and et cetera, et cetera. So we're not going to do that part. Now, this is why I suggest you do it as a PNG. So if you do it as a PNG, you're going to get much higher resolution picture. So look at the picture of her. You can kind of even see with it scaled down like this that it's a little bit blurry, not totally crisp and clean. So we're going to take this, right, and we're going to put this over here, and see what we were to do is if we put him in there, how much higher resolution he is. And it's not the same character. And you can see the picture's too wide, so we want to trim that. There's a lot of extra space over here. So what we could do is take this picture, which is this one here. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to try to trim this down along the edge here. And we're going to capture maybe most of this. You can just do this a few times till you like it. And it's pretty straightforward. You can just keep monkeying with this. Now, there is technically a good digital artist who knows how to use Photoshop really well, knows how to do this perfectly. I'm just giving you the layman's way of doing it. So we're just going to call him test 5. It's in the same folder. Once you get this workflow going, the folders will just keep understanding what you've been opening and closing. Go back to PowerPoint. And we're just going to get rid of this one, get rid of him, and we'll just bring this in. It's going to remember that we have test 5. Bring this in here. And let's just rescale it a little bit. And this is really only if you're like, want it to be as amazing as possible. It's not absolutely necessary. You can start rescaling it. So you can do that trial and error process a few times. What you don't want to do is grab this edge and start squishing the picture. You want the guy to end up like he's being warped out of the world or something. So you want to play with that to get the picture right. Another thing you can do is you can take this image and bring it back into the Paint Shop program and see what size it is, like what size is the actual picture, or all kinds of details like that. So I don't want to go into that now. So that's basically how I made these types of portrait pictures for the characters in my D&D stuff. Another thing I did is when I made the PowerPoint, I took the base color that was in Black Desert Online, and for the Pearl Shop, and this color here, this gradiated gray, right? And I used that as the base color in my PowerPoint. So when I got ready to do my PowerPoint, I used that gray color and just worked from there. That's why they're gray. The only reason they're gray is because I want it to blend as smoothly as possible. So let's just pick some other outfit here real quick. How about this Teary one? It's pretty crazy looking. All right, take this off. Take her out of this mode. Put her in helmet. Take this. There you go. Hide the helmet maybe. Put the hair up if you want. Whatever. There you go. So if you wanted to change the character's outfit to something else that's a little bit more interesting, you could do that. And of course, you can do your portrait whatever size you want. And this character, I customized their hair and try to make sure everything looked as cool as possible and looked interesting. I didn't want it to look like an Asian character. I wanted to look like a little kid in a way, like a young, goofy character that gets in trouble all the time. So that's kind of how we did those kind of things. So when you are doing these character sheets, which we're going to show, the next video is going to show you how to do those, that's where these pictures come from. So let's go back to our PDF. So every single one of these pictures are from my characters. I made the characters in Black Desert Online to get the face I wanted to look in a particular class. and then I chose and posed them in the shop, took the screenshots, and then put them inside here and rescaled them. All right, great. So that basically covers that video. Hope that's been helpful to you. In summary, I'll say a couple things. Let's give you a couple of details here. First of all, if you don't have a good PC, you can run this game in low resolution. I'm running it in remastered mode, which is really high resolution with full HDR lighting and everything. You can run it low resolution. All you need to do is have a character created, and once you have a character created, you can then access the Pearl shop. And when you're in the Pearl shop, that's where you're going to dork around with all this stuff, and you can look at all the other classes too. You may not even want to ever make a character at all. You may just want to see, like, listen, I want my character. I just love this outfit so much. I don't mind the fact that it looks like Jet Li's grandson or something. You know what I'm saying? So it really depends on what's important to you. You may want to do something like, well, that's okay. I'll just cover this up with a helmet or something so I can't tell who it is. So for you, you just do what's important to you. That way you can get to picture your character looking the way you want it to look. Because you have to admit, these are the best looking characters in the game industry right now. 100%. No Xbox game, no PC game, no MMO has characters that look this awesome or allow you to have such beautifully well-made costumes. So when it comes time to make a character portrait for your D&D or Pathfinder character, this is a really fun way to do it. All right, next video is going to show us how we make the character sheet. We'll share that with you on Patreon. Talk to you later. See ya.